Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves the balance of her time. Chair recognizes Mr. Shavitz, gentleman from Utah.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Hill introduced H.R. 1029, the Alien Smuggling and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2009, which improves the federal government's ability to combat alien smuggling. I am a co-sponsor of this legislation. The alien smuggling defines a group of crimes that involve the recruiting, transportation, or harboring of an alien who does not have the lawful authority to be in the United States of America. This legislation is a direct response to the increasing concern of federal prosecutors that the current alien smuggling statute is inadequate in the face of rampant alien smuggling and human trafficking by organized criminal syndicates. The current statute is a patchwork of amendments that does not provide the tough penalties necessary to punish these dangerous criminals and to deter the criminal organizations that dominate the smuggling world today. These organizations are increasingly sophisticated, international, profitable, and their means are ruthless and inhumane. For example, the recent media reports indicate kidnappings are on the rise in Phoenix, Arizona. There were almost 370 reported kidnappings for ransom there last year. However, it is difficult to know how many kidnappings actually occurred because many kidnappings were not reported to law enforcement officials. Most of the kidnappings involve drug smugglers and human traffickers preying on one another. The kidnapped victims are typically drug or alien smugglers or their family members who are taken by fellow criminals and held for ransom. These victims are inviting targets because they often have a lot of money or can raise large sums of cash on short notice and are unlikely to go to law enforcement. It may only be a matter of time before the kidnappers start targeting law-abiding citizens, so we must do more to deter, identify, and arrest these alien smugglers. H.R. 1029 directs the Department of Homeland Security to check the names of alien smuggling suspects who have been incarcerated at a land, air, or sea border against all available terrorist watch lists. The bill also creates enhanced penalties for alien smuggling, including tough sentences for smuggling that results in serious bodily injury or death. Any person convicted of kidnapping, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill as part of an alien smuggling scheme will now face life in prison. H.R. 1029 imposes a penalty of up to 30 years imprisonment for smugglers who know that the alien they bring to the United States intends to engage in terrorist activities. Lastly, the bill amends the criminal statutes to add penalties for maritime offenses committed in the course of smuggling, trafficking, shipping, stolen property, or drug trafficking. H.R. 1029 will help federal law enforcement and prosecutors put alien smugglers behind bars and send a clear message that these criminal syndicates and the violence they pose to innocent civilians will not be tolerated. I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentlewoman from Texas.
Mr. Speaker, it is my pleasure to now yield to the distinguished sponsor of the legislation,